actually, I joke I'm a reform software analyst, and I really look at the extended enterprise now of how leaders, hiring managers, people in business really partner across technology service providers, third-party outsourcing service providers to really make the workforce more productive, more engaged, and drive the business outcomes that everybody's saying that they want. 2015 is certainly going to be a year where software as a service is widely accepted, but to some extent organizations will, and I say this a little bit, cheeky, that they'll just know how many unhappy and inept people work for them. And so SaaS will certainly be able to give people a global picture of their workforce, of the information and the data and the compliance elements that they need to simply employ people worldwide. And it's in the cloud, and you can have a single system of record. But now the next step is truly, how do you take advantage of that visibility, that consistency, that insight? So certainly there's a lot of hype, a lot of discussion around workforce analytics and workforce planning. I think once that SaaS is fully adopted and those cloud instances allow for centralization and standardization, people will start to do more with workforce analytics and planning. However, I also think there's a lot to be had with small data. It doesn't have to be big, massive data, because a lot of what I think we'll see is that workforce analytics and data bring you some things you can't predict about the workforce that people aren't really thinking of or not really expecting. I make the analogy that workforce analytics and the HR practice in general is sort of reflecting the history of medicine. So they had to identify that germs existed before you could understand how do you kill germs, right? And that's really how you stave off systemic problems with health. And in HR, I think to some extent we may be a little bit still in the bloodletting stage where we're not necessarily knowing that mold is going to be the place where you can find out how to kill bacteria, the penicillin that became very valuable. And so I think analytics is going to do some of that, but a lot of it's going to be common sense that the data will then also just validate very common basic areas of business that maybe the establishment or the traditional hierarchy or the generations that have come before us have perpetuated because that's how things have always been done or how they worked. And so, we'll get the data in the cloud, we'll be able to look at the data and start to prove out some progressive things around workforce equality and diversity and work-life balance and really retaining important people the way that they want to engage with organizations. Certainly as demographics shift, I think companies will have to be more open to different types of labor, whether it's contract or it's going to be a third-party service partner as an extension of your firm, an extension of your enterprise. But that 2015, we're still kind of moving through simply knowing where are all the documents that are related to my workforce. Can I get them all in a safe place so I can start to think beyond that and think about what really matters to my workforce. And I've talked about this concept of the employee experience. Really serving that worker is really HR, and I would say even IT's role in the firm, making these people focused, productive, engaged, focused on the customer, focused on the work that's most important, because that's going to be constantly in flux with the change that's going on worldwide. And that these HR and IT will be looking at the tools that they can put in place to give a good employee experience, reduce the noise around compliance and risk, and really get people thinking about top-line growth and going back to, really innovating and serving the end customer. Because I do think with unemployment and workers restless for more professional development and more opportunities, 2015 will be a taking off point for, I hope, a lot of good stuff that organizations can deliver to customers and grow the economy, frankly. Wages and labor has stagnated for the last, almost decade. We've had a lost decade in terms of equity and in business growth in many cases, but businesses are spending a lot of money, and I think investing in the worker and giving them a good experience to to my mind, is what's going to bring economic growth back. And in 2015, people will get restless, and unemployment will get people moving around because the opportunities are there. And this really is the time for HR and IT to get excited about their contributions to the business, because it is about getting the workers to serve the customers in a meaningful way.